Culinary skills and choices often reflect social and personal identity. When I was little, I occasionally would help my mother in the kitchen, but I was always helping. My identity as a child was influenced by my grandmother's recipes and her own personality. I loved everything that she and my mother made, which included her chocolate chip cookies. I accepted early on that a visit to my grandparents' house meant spending 6 to 7 hours in the backseat of a cramped car with my sister. But it also meant warm hugs from my grandma, warmer cookies, and a glass of milk, usually before we were sent to bed, depending on when we left our house. It became a tradition in the Montgomery household for Carol to finish baking some kind of cookie right as we pulled into the driveway, and then wrapping us up in giant hugs as soon as we got through the door. Later on in the visit, we'd make our way to the piano, where Grandma would play anything from hymns to a song she'd made up about a Halloween prank. Of course, all good things come to an end, and the beginning of that end started when I was told that Carol had a tumor in her brain. It was on her optic nerve, and because of that, she was losing her vision in one eye. I didn't think anything was wrong, that it could be fixed, and continued on in blissful ignorance. Around 8th grade, my grandma was admitted to the hospital, and my sister and I were dropped off at my mom's parents' house for the weekend, left wondering what had happened. We began spending every Friday night driving to Plainfield, Illinois. On Saturdays, dinners for the week were made for my grandparents, and Sundays were reserved for the trip back to Ohio. It became a part of life, and there was a period of time where all I really remember are those drives to Illinois and back. Once we got there, the visits were all almost exactly alike. There were no more giant hugs at the door, no more chocolate chip cookies, replaced by talks behind closed doors and lonesome playing of the piano while my grandma sat in another room. There was very little time, if any, for anyone to bake anything. Tides had changed, and not for the better. This pattern continued through the summer of my freshman year and into the first trimester of school. Then one night, my mom and I had just gotten back from dropping my friend off at home. My dad was standing near the laundry room door of our house, his face grim. Words I didn't think I'd ever hear till I was out of college were being said. Your grandmother passed away late last night. That was it. There weren't going to be any more Disney sing-alongs or funny stories about the word kwee-kwee. It was final. Now I knew there would never be any more chocolate chip cookies and snickerdoodles, and there wouldn't be any more of her chicken noodle soup in the toucan bowls. For a while, I felt like everything I'd put my faith into had failed me. I stopped playing music unless I had to for school, and I don't remember eating or making chocolate chip cookies or her mac and cheese for a while. Disney lost its magic for a long time. A part of my identity seemed to disappear. I started to grow up, pushing some things and people away as I did. It was a struggle for a while, because I was jealous. And jealous of a couple of my older cousins that they got to celebrate a marriage and college graduations with her, while I'd only just started high school. As I continued through my sophomore year of high school, the making of food and music started to work its way back into my life. The food my family and I made brought me closer to her, especially when we had our handwritten recipes, torn at the edges and faded till the writing was almost invisible. I was taught to make a lot of different foods, and was able to, after a short while, make our chocolate chip cookies on my own. These accomplishments fulfilled part of my need to be close to her. Somewhere along the way, I figured out that I'd be able to be close to my grandma and have a relationship with her as an adult, even if she wasn't physically there. With the growth I had as a baker, my personality started to grow and surpass what it had been when I was a child. And it was all possible because of my grandma's chocolate chip cookies. As Mervyn Claxton says in Food, Food, and Identity, preparing food for consumption and eating socially are activities that are conducted for purposes other than nutrition. The symbolic meaning of food sometimes has little to do with the food itself. And that rings true for me. My grandma's chocolate chip cookies were a symbol of happiness, sadness, and now are just a symbol of her.